6 signs your family doesn't respect the person you're becoming. When familiar faces turn into foreign eyes. It's strange how the people who first clapped for you when you took your first steps can be the same ones who quietly resent the steps you're taking now. Families have long memories, and sometimes those memories become cages. You grow, you learn, you unlearn. But to them, you're still that same person who couldn't keep their room clean, who borrowed money, who always had a phase. What they don't tell you about becoming a better version of yourself is how lonely it gets when the people closest to you stop recognizing you. It's not hostility at first, it's subtle. The half smile when you talk about your goals, the teasing that sounds like concern, the long silence after you share something you're proud of. You can almost hear it in the air. Who do you think you are now? And that's where the quiet disrespect starts. Not in arguments or rejection, but in the invisible gap between who you used to be and who you're trying to become. 1. They keep talking to the old you. It's almost comedic. You come home after months of working on yourself, reading, healing, becoming intentional, and your family still treats you like the kid who couldn't keep a job or took everything personally. You could be managing your emotions better, waking up earlier, eating clean, building discipline, and they'd still tell the same tired story about that one time you failed. It's not malicious, it's lazy. They've memorized the script of who you were, and updating that would require effort. Effort they rarely bother to make for someone they think they already know. I remember going back home once after moving out. I'd been through a rough period, done some real inner work, even started therapy. When I tried to share something small, just saying, "I've been learning how to manage my triggers better," my cousin laughed and said, "You, Mr. Temper?" "Sure." Everyone joined in. I laughed too, but inside, I felt this tightness, not because of the joke itself, but because no one even paused to think, maybe he really has changed. That's the core of it. Disrespect doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's in the refusal to update their understanding of you. Now, let's be fair. Families carry memories of your lowest moments because they've seen you through them. Their skepticism might come from caution, not cruelty, but when they constantly pull you back into your past, it stops being about care. It becomes about control. It's their way of keeping the world predictable, and maybe that's what makes it sting the most. You're proud of who you're becoming, but they keep talking to the ghost of who you were. You can't evolve if the people closest to you keep treating your transformation like an act. At some point, you realize you're no longer waiting for their validation. You're just tired of being miscast in a story you've already outgrown. 2. They call your growth an attitude. The first time you say no to something you used to tolerate, it throws everyone off balance. You don't shout, you don't argue. You just quietly refuse to play the same role you always have, and suddenly the whispers start. You've changed. You think you're better than us. You're too sensitive these days. No, you're not sensitive. You're just done being stepped on in the name of family unity. But in families, boundaries are often seen as rebellion. If you used to be the peacemaker, they expect you to stay that way forever. If you were the quiet one, they interpret your assertiveness as arrogance. You're not allowed to evolve because your growth forces everyone else to face their own stagnation. I've seen this play out over and over. A friend once told me how, after she started therapy, she stopped entertaining her mother's emotional manipulation. Not dramatically, just calmly. Her mother's reaction: "Ever since you started seeing that shrink, you think you're too good for this family." That's how it goes. You try to create peace, and they call it distance. You try to communicate clearly, and they call it pride. Now, If we're being honest, sometimes people do change and become unbearable about it. We've all seen that cousin who reads one self-help book and suddenly thinks everyone else is toxic. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about genuine growth, the quiet kind that shows up through consistency, not speeches. And still, your family mistakes it for rebellion. Boundaries expose who's been benefiting from your lack of them. That's why it makes them so uncomfortable. They don't miss the old you. They miss the convenience of you not standing up for yourself. You'll be accused of being distant, prideful, self-absorbed. But maybe that's just the sound of your self-respect finally speaking up. Because growth doesn't always look graceful. Sometimes it looks like disappointing people who once decided who you should be. 3. They subtly compete with your progress. You'll know this one when you start to share something good, and instead of genuine happiness, the room suddenly feels heavier. You announce your new job, and your uncle mentions how he was promoted twice in 1 year. You talk about saving money, and your mother reminds you she was paying rent at your age. There's always a story that slightly outdoes yours, always a reminder that you're not that special. It's not open hostility. It's micro-competition disguised as conversation. They don't say, "I'm jealous." They say, "That's nice, but don't get ahead of yourself." They don't roll their eyes. They just go quiet. That deep, suffocating silence that tells you your excitement doesn't belong here. It's an odd thing to feel the need to dim your own progress around people who raised you to do better. Maybe they did mean it when they said it, but they didn't imagine better would mean different from them. And, let's be fair, competition isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's insecurity. Families often measure worth in comparison, not connection. If your success reminds them of their own missed chances, they'll try to reclaim a sense of importance by proving they're still ahead. It's not about you, it's about equilibrium. Still, it's exhausting. You end up managing your joy so it doesn't look like bragging. You start editing your victories into something small enough to fit into their comfort zone. But progress should never require apology. You can't keep shrinking just because someone else refuses to grow. And maybe the most painful part, you can't even call it out. Because the moment you do, they'll accuse you of being paranoid or ungrateful. "We're your family. Why would we be jealous?" they'll say, as if bloodlines cancel out human emotion. The truth is, competition can coexist with love. But when competition starts overshadowing support, that's not family anymore. That's a quiet rivalry dressed in tradition. 4. They downplay what matters to you. There's a particular kind of disrespect that doesn't come through insults. It comes through indifference. You tell them about something that matters deeply to you, and they respond with the emotional enthusiasm of a weather report. You could be talking about your new project, your new routine, your small victories, and they'll shrug it off like it's nothing. "That's nice," they say, without looking up from their phone. You bring up something that's changed your life, and they change the subject. It's not that they hate you, it's that they don't value what you value. Families often carry an invisible hierarchy of importance: practical careers, marriage, children, stability. Those things earn respect, but passion, growth, healing, and purpose, those sound too abstract, too self-centered, too modern. So when you talk about them, they act as if you're chasing fairy dust. I once watched a cousin go through this. She started her own small business, poured everything she had into it, and was proud of herself for once. Her mother's response: "That's cute, but when will you get a real job?" That one sentence crushed months of effort. And again to be fair to be, don't be fair. Sometimes their dismissal isn't cruelty, it's generational. They grew up in survival mode, where dreams were luxuries, and security was the only acceptable ambition. So when you chase meaning instead of money, they don't understand it. It threatens the logic that kept them alive. Still, understanding doesn't erase impact. When the people you love most make light of what gives your life meaning, it chips away at your sense of belonging. You start questioning yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this isn't that important. But that's how it happens. Not through one big betrayal, but through 1,000 small dismissals that teach you your enthusiasm is misplaced. Don't let anyone convince you that something meaningful to you is meaningless just because they can't relate to it. Respect doesn't require understanding, but it does require effort. If they can't offer that, then it's not you being dramatic, it's them being disconnected. Because at the end of the day, love without curiosity is just familiarity, and familiarity left unchecked breeds contempt for anything new, including the new you. 5. They only show up when you fail. Failure is familiar ground for most families. It's where everyone becomes an expert, a mentor, a healer. When you fall apart, they show up instantly, full of advice, sympathy, and "I told you so" wisdom. But start winning, and suddenly everyone's too busy. When you struggle, they call every day. When you thrive, the phone goes quiet. You could post an achievement, and they'll scroll past it like it's spam. But lose something, and the sympathy messages flood in within minutes. It's strange, isn't it, that some people need you to be broken to feel useful. I saw this with a friend once. When he was unemployed, his relatives would constantly check in. They sent him money, advice, encouragement. But when he finally got a stable job and started doing well, that energy disappeared. Calls slowed down. Conversations became curt. He told me, "I think they preferred me struggling. I made them feel generous." It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's about purpose. Helping gives people a sense of significance. When you no longer need rescuing, you inadvertently threaten their identity as the caretaker, the mentor, the one who knows better. But here's where the disrespect seeps in. Their care was never about your growth. It was about their comfort. They were invested in your dependence, not your liberation. You start to notice it in the small things. The way advice always sounds slightly condescending, the way success stories are met with silence, the way your self-sufficiency feels like rebellion. And you realize something important. Some family members only know how to love the weaker version of you because that's the version that needs them. It's a hard truth to accept. Not every act of love is rooted in respect. Some are rooted in control. Some thrive on imbalance. And when you finally stand tall, they don't see strength. They see distance. But strength is not betrayal. You just stopped performing weakness for the sake of connection. 6. They guilt you for outgrowing them. This is the final stage, the emotional tug-of-war that comes after you've changed enough to make everyone uncomfortable. You're not angry, you're not distant, you're just evolving. But they interpret your growth as abandonment. You've forgotten where you came from. You don't visit as much anymore. You've become too busy for family. That's the emotional script. Guilt dressed as nostalgia. They'll remind you of every sacrifice made for you, every meal shared, every time they supported you when you had nothing. And somehow you end up feeling like progress is betrayal. I've felt that guilt too. When you start creating a life that doesn't revolve around old dysfunctions, it feels selfish. You start questioning if you've become cold, but the truth is, you're not rejecting your family. You're rejecting the version of yourself that could only survive by staying small. Here's the uncomfortable reality. Not everyone can come with you. Growth demands distance, not out of pride, but necessity. You can't keep healing in the same environment that taught you to apologize for being alive. Yet, from their perspective, you've changed too much. You sound different, think different, maybe even dress different, and they take it personally. Because in families that equate sameness with loyalty, individuality looks like betrayal. And yes, sometimes you do become harder to reach. Not because you stopped caring, but because peace has become your priority. You've stopped participating in arguments that go nowhere. You've stopped defending choices that don't need defending. You've stopped asking for permission to grow. Still, the guilt lingers. You hear it in their voices, see it in their passive-aggressive jokes. They'll tell you you've lost touch, that success has changed you, and maybe it has. But isn't that the point? Growth without change isn't growth. And if becoming who you're meant to be requires disappointing people who refuse to evolve, then disappointment is a small price for authenticity, because love that demands you to stay small was never love. It was dependency disguised as devotion. Conclusion: the quiet cost of becoming. The truth is, not every family conflict is about hate. Most of it is about change. Change rearranges the emotional furniture, and suddenly the space you once fit in feels too tight. When you start respecting yourself, people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will call it disrespect. When you start dreaming bigger, those who settled early will call it arrogance. When you start healing, those still hurting will call it distance. And yet, you grow anyway. You stop explaining, stop defending, stop watering yourself down. You stop waiting for their permission to be different. Because if you keep waiting for their validation, you'll never leave the version of you that they prefer, the one that fits their comfort but suffocates your becoming. Respect isn't owed just because you share DNA. Respect is earned through effort, listening, and the willingness to see someone as they are now, not who they used to be. If your family refuses to see your evolution, that's their blindness, not your arrogance. You can love them, but you don't owe them the performance of staying small. And maybe that's the hardest part about growing up. Realizing that sometimes the cost of peace is distance, and the price of authenticity is misunderstanding, but you pay it anyway. Because what's the point of being loved if you can't be yourself?